This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Oh my God!
Welcome into episode 54 of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This was kind of the placeholder of podcasts because that's what we've got for Monday Night Raw and for Smackdown. Of course, we're going to review those. Really small news and notes segment this week. For some reason, I don't have a lot going on to tell you about. I don't know why, just the way it worked out. But let's start off with Monday Night Raw. Again, like I said, Raw and SmackDown seem to just kind of be placeholders. Like, we can't really do a whole lot, not until we get done with Crown Jewel. WWE decided that they're going to go ahead and push forward with Crown Jewel. I believe it's going to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We can talk about that a little bit if you want. Do you want to talk about that to kind of start? It's kind of weird that they're going forward with it. I know last week we talked about it, and you made the point that, hey, it's all about dollars. It's about that financial line for WWE. They just released their third quarter spending, and that's how everybody got the confirmation that they're going to go ahead with this because it was so bloated. They had so much more money than anticipated, and it's because they're going ahead and doing this show in Saudi Arabia. Do you think it's a smart idea to go ahead and do this? I mean, it really seems like it has upset a lot of the superstars on the roster. Two of them aren't going, and you've seen them get written out on Raw and on SmackDown, and we'll touch on that.
Dollar bills, y'all. Dollar bills. And when you're getting upwards of maybe $40, $50 million, you got a 10-year agreement, and you don't want to piss off those that have a bunch of money. Unfortunately, Vince McMahon, Triple H, the WWE corporation has to keep running. They have to run shows. And when it's big dollar amounts, unless there's an immediate physical threat to WWE, they're not going to get political. And it's a situation in which they got a show to do. Big money's at stake. You are a publicly run company, WWE. They run the show. I understand it. It's interesting that two of the big stars, John Cena and Daniel Bryan, have been written off the show. They are not going to participate. What would have happened if the rest of the crew said, look, we're just not going to get on the plane? Would there have been sweeping disciplinary actions? I think that it probably would behoove a lot of the wrestlers to get together and say, look, if we want to take a stand, just don't go. But unfortunately, then what would happen is I think there would be sweeping changes. A lot of these guys would get fined. They would have to make up that $45 million. And in the end, a company doesn't just go, okay, we're going to take a massive hit and cancel a show. What they'll do is in deals and things like that, they'll go, okay, sell as many shirts as you want. When we hit $45 million, we'll start giving you back your money.
Yeah.
So they will recoup that money. That's what a businessman does. Yes.
Some way.
And it'll be off the tails of the wrestlers.
Yeah.
1,000%. They'll be like, okay, your deal was for $6 million. We're only going to pay you $5 million. You did this. You cost us money and things like that in terms of sales, appearance fees, things like that.
It's weird that they can do that to independent contractors.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So really weird. But yeah.
But as long as everybody's safe, go on with the show. It's going to be a big show still with the names that are going to show up.
Do you find it weird that Renee Young has been announced that she's going to be, I believe she's going to be part of the commentary team for this event, or she's going to be involved with some form of the production of this? Now, mind you, Saudi Arabia is a place where women's rights are really limited. Like, women aren't even allowed to go to this show unless they're with their husband. I believe they have to be fully covered from head to toe. It's one of those things because men being wrestling around in tights it's too provocative for women to see. So it really weird that she's going to be part of this.
Look, she's moving her way up through that company super fast, and she's come out in articles and said, look, she wants to be considered the greatest of all time announcer. Not just a women's announcer. She wants to be known as somebody that does quality work, and she wants to put herself up there. So she's working hard. She's making her way through the company. Her husband is prominent. He's got prominent storylines, and she's a hard worker, and she's got talent.
She's very good at what she does.
She's quick-witted. She's entertaining. She's easy to listen to. So she's moving her way up through the company, and any involvement that she has, I wouldn't be surprised one day if she's the general manager and has a prominent role in real life management.
But not a heel.
Not a heel.
Thank God. All right, well, let's jump into Raw then. We open the show with Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman. This is the push in the build for Crown Jewel. It is happening, like we had mentioned before. Did you like this? It was a very quick segment. It was a very physical segment. Baron Corbin is in the ring, and Brock Lesnar comes out. Next thing you know, Braun Strowman's there. A little bit of a pushing and shoving match between Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman ends up laying him out with 3 running power slams. Next thing you know, Brock Lesnar gets Braun Strowman up in an F5 and lays him out. And that was pretty much it. This is your build. This is what you get for your new WWE Universal Championship match at Crown Jewel on Friday at noon.
Yeah, I look at it and I go, it's a feud that's already been played out. The only thing that would make me happy is if Braun Strowman walks away with the title. He has to be the Universal Champion. It has to happen.
Would you have liked, there was some discussion about them still keeping it a 3-way match by inserting Drew McIntyre. Would you have liked that?
No, the marquee feud now, the 2 top guys definitely in WWE on Monday Night Raw is Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar. They're the marquee matchup. They can have good matchups. They can do some things, and I wouldn't be surprised if Braun Strowman actually wins. Now, if they put the belt back on Brock, I think that would be crazy.
Don't do that. Don't even go down that rabbit hole. Let's say
80% give it to Braun Strowman. 80%. Let's go.
No, let's go 99.9%. It's got to be Braun, dude. It's got to.
Okay.
If you put it back on Brock, it's like we're going back in time. We don't need to do this. What was the point of you even putting it on Reigns? There's no point.
Exactly.
No, let's not. All right. Next, I guess, important thing that happens is Elias is in the ring. He's running down what happened last week where he basically turned face and took out Baron Corbin with his guitar. He ends up heading to the back to Baron Corbin's locker room, and he then proceeds to sing and call out Baron Corbin. I thought it was a pretty good bit all in all, up until the moment he's attacked by Jinder Mahal. This then sets up for a match between himself and Jinder, and Elias in the end comes out the victor. I thought this was a good build. This was his first appearance as a face. I thought this worked out really, really well for him. I think he does a good job adding to his storyline. He does a really, really good job of working comedy, working in being a physical presence, working in cutting a very good promo. He works all this in. I need to see more out of him in the ring.
100%. I think this is a guy that...
It wasn't really a question, but you got the point.
Yeah,
I need to see more out of him in the ring. Do you need to see the same?
Yeah, 100%. I think that he's got untapped potential, limitless potential. He's got charisma. He's a great wrestler. He's got the look, and he's unique. And similar to what other wrestlers will say is when you watch somebody, does he draw your attention? And something that's underrated is his attire. Mm-hmm. Like he's got these colorful outfits that make you look at him and you go, wow, that's a guy that draws attention. And so a guy like Elias is money. And you just got to...
Peacock's hard.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so he's a guy that I think in the future could be atop the company sooner rather than later. I like Elias. But the thing is that what a weird way sometimes a year shakes out. Jinder Mahal has fallen so far that you would think that after a prolonged title run that he'd be in the mix a little bit more, better promos, better action. It just seems like when you take a dip, you don't have to go all the way to the back of the line. You could end up being a mid-carder. I just feel like Jinder Mahal has more talent than what's being utilized, but unfortunately, something's happened where his character has just kind of stalled a little bit. And so I kind of was focused a little bit more on Jinder because I think he's a big dude. He's got something, but I don't know if something's going on backstage or when the creative doesn't match what you have, you got to fight for it. You got to do a little bit better. Jinder Mahal's role, I just kind of felt like, man, he's not being utilized properly. That's what I was kind of thinking.
He has fallen hard.
Yeah.
Again, you're right. He has the look. I think he's a very good heel. He cuts a pretty solid promo. He does a good job. He gets a reaction out of the crowd, and that's what you want. Yet creative, or in this case, WWE creative has nothing for you. So go job
at the very least,
match for Elias.
At the very least, Jinder could be Baron's enforcer.
He could
go do this, and he just handles his business, and they line themselves, and then maybe Jinder can get some opportunities because of his alliance with Baron Corbin. You got to kind of sometimes pair up people that are both doing the same kind of things.
Up until the time that he turns on Baron Corbin, and then you have another feud.
Now you got another feud. Yeah.
So I mean, you set yourself up. You can't always play the short game. You got to play the long game.
You got it.
Seth Rollins ends up coming down to the ring.
That was a good segment.
It was a good segment. It was a very good segment. It's probably the best segment on Monday Night Raw. Calls out Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose appears in the crowd. It's very Shield-esque, wearing a bomber jacket, white T-shirt. No longer does he wear the wife beater. These are very subtle things. No longer does he wear the wife beater, but he is in the jeans, bomber coat, white T-shirt. Rollins wants answers, and he ends up getting super, super worked up. Ends up talking about how it was a just a bad deal to do this on the night that
Reigns had his issue.
Yes,
Yep.
that Roman Reigns had his issue, and this was just bad timing. It was disrespectful. It was horrible. Like, he legitimately added another layer of emotion to this promo that he was cutting on Dean Ambrose. He ends up promising that he's going to make Dean Ambrose's life a living hell. The whole time, Dean Ambrose says nothing, just kind of pacing back and forth up at the top. Seth tries to get to Dean by going through the crowd, but again, Seth is by the ring, and Dean Ambrose is all the way at the top. Dean just kind of turns, walks away. Did you like this, or did you want answers too?
No, this added another layer of intrigue and curiosity as to what's going on. And sometimes, like you said, you want to play the long game. And I don't have to know right away why Dean Ambrose did it, but we can all speculate whether he wanted a more prominent role. The losing got to him. He felt like, you know what, let's get revenge.
I thought it was done well. I didn't need to hear from Dean. Dean's actions spoke volumes, and I think seeing Seth Rollins get so worked up, and like I said, evoke what happened with Roman Reigns and just add that, like, it felt like it was kayfabe, but it felt really, really real.
Yes.
You know, like, it hit home. It tugged on some heartstrings there. I thought it was done very, very well. The next basically hour and a half of Raw to me was just garbage.
Yeah.
It was, look, I'll run through it real quick for you. It was Nia Jax being Ember. This sets up for a Jax heel turn later. Okay, whatever. Kalisto and Lindo Dorado end up pinning the Revival. Boy, have the Revival fell off. Jeez. We now have a new tag team. Dolph Ziggler pins Apollo Crews. Whatever. And we ended up ending with some interaction between Undertaker and Kane and DX. Okay, cool. This is your go-home show for Crown Jewel. One of the most talked about, the most speculated about, the most, I'm not sure if it's got good PR or bad PR, pay-per-view that we've had in a long, 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 long time.
Yeah, I just felt like Monday Night Raw did a disservice to the fans. It wasn't something that, if you missed it, did you miss out on something? And sometimes when you have a television program, you want to have moments where people are talking. And you go, man, did you miss Monday Night Raw? You saw this segment. Da, da, da. It wasn't that at all. You can find out what happened. You can DVR it later. It wasn't must-see.
You don't even have to watch it.
And Monday Night Raw is your marquee show. In each show, because you have so many pay-per-views, you can't. Basically, you have 4 go-home shows a month because there's a pay-per-view, and then you're setting up and things like that. So it just doesn't feel like, because they're running so many big shows now with these specials, that you're just going to fail to deliver. It's just set up to fail. And so right now, like I said, this is what happens when your mid-card is not that solid and there are guys that are being underutilized. There are feuds that are being left on the table, and you look at it and you go, wow, Kalisto and his tag team partner on Monday Night Raw. When you think about it, they probably should be relegated to the main event. You know what I mean? The television show that airs, that's an hour special, sometimes a cut-up recap show.
Do you think they're trying to fill out Raw's tag team a little bit?
Yeah.
And trying to build that back out? Because at one point, it seemed like Raw had a really good tag team. Then it switched to SmackDown. SmackDown now has a really good tag team.
You know what happens?
Division.
The way I look at it, for those that like sports analogy, Raw basically looked like a football team without its quarterback.
Yeah.
When you lose Roman Reigns, it just takes a huge chunk out of the show, because that was a focal point. This is a guy that you built up to.
You built other stories around his story.
And you had the Shield that people wanted to see. And so Raw was getting some momentum in terms of telling stories, and especially with the new feuds that you could have had with Roman Reigns. You built around it, and it's like, bam, you get to the championship game, and bam, your quarterback goes down. And it just kind of felt like, well, we got to figure out something. And right now, the storylines are, at a point now where you either like them or you don't. It's not like real... You don't have to invest in a lot of them right now. Maybe the top end ones are good, but then the rest of it is just like, all right, let's get through this match and let's see what's going on. The women, I think, have an opportunity to take the next step, but they're not utilizing them properly. Matches are quick. They're not,
they're like 10 women tag matches.
Ember Moon could do a promo, see things like that. Or, definitely when you recap Evolution, emphasize that a little bit more. Definitely allow yourself to take advantage and ride some momentum from that situation. And you got Ronda Rousey and things like that. Have her come out and destroy people verbally, or have Ronda Rousey do a talk show and have her come out and interview people. Something different, something a little bit unique to Monday Night Raw. Did you see Ronda Rousey? She talked to Stephanie McMahon that way and things like that, or just say, hey, I want this, or a little bit of a struggle or things like that. But in the end, if you missed Monday Night Raw, you didn't miss much.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The one thing that you might have missed, and the one thing that we missed covering Monday Night Raw, John Cena was written out of Crown Jewel. John Cena does not want to go to Crown Jewel, will not perform. His replacement is Bobby Lashley. I'll get you some info on Bobby Lashley and what he's kind of working through. But that's what happened there. Somebody else who doesn't want to go to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, does not want to be a part of Crown Jewel, that is Daniel Bryan. This is our segue into SmackDown.
Holy cow.
SmackDown opens up with a very solid promo between AJ and Daniel Bryan. This leads to our boy Shane O'Mac. Shane O'Mac is now back. This is 2 weeks in a row. Shane O'Mac is very hands-on.
Here comes the Monday. Yes.
He ends up coming out from the back, and he sets up this match. Like they said, we want to fight now. He sets it up. We had a great match. Like, this was a hell of a match. It was an awesome 12, maybe 15-minute promo, which led to a great 20-minute match. There were moments in this where you felt like Daniel Bryan was going to win this match. Like, in your brain was like, there's no way that Daniel Bryan's going to lose this, because if you pay attention to what's been going on, he's not going to Crown Jewel. He wants out. He has enough pull, just like John Cena, where he can say, I'm not going, and you can't force me. You can't make me. Figure something else out. He did this, and your brain is like, yeah, dude, there's no way AJ Styles is losing this match. But you're watching what you're seeing with your eyes, and you're just like, wow, Daniel Bryan has a legit shot. He's going to win this. He's going to win this. Only to have the other side of your brain be like, no, dummy, he's not going to win this. But boy, oh boy, this was an outstanding match. You thought Daniel Bryan had shots to win this, only to have AJ Styles somehow, some way, hit a Styles Clash legitimately out of nowhere. Like, I can't even describe to you how he pulled this off. Hit a Styles Clash, turn the Styles Clash into a calf crusher, forcing Daniel Bryan to tap out. This was an incredible match. This was an awesome match.
And remember, on free TV for the world to see. It was quality. It was maybe a candidate for Jock's match of the week. Stay tuned for that later in this podcast. I just think that, wow, by far outshined anything that happened in the 3 hours on Monday Night Raw. AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan. That could be a year-long feud, and I think every match would be awesome. Those are two of the guys that deserve to be in the ring together at a great time. I think it's great that they did it on American soil. I just think that in that platform of Crown Jewel, I just think it might have lost some of the luster, because it kind of feels like Crown Jewel is going to be a glorified. It just kind of feels like Crown Jewel is going to be a glorified house show.
That's exactly what
one
it's going
title change, maybe, and then all the favorites probably that you think are going to win. Exactly.
That's exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
In the end, Samoa Joe comes out, comes running down from the crowd, and attacks AJ Styles and beats him up pretty bad, enough to where Daniel Bryan, who is at this point wounded, jumps in the ring to try to attack Joe. Joe ends up putting him in the Kikina clutch. It's now going to be Samoa Joe, AJ Styles at Crown Jewel. This is how you wrote out Daniel Bryan, to put Samoa Joe. I have no problem with this.
No problem. If that's what happened, that's the best way to do it.
I thought this was a good way to reintroduce Samoa Joe.
Yep.
I think him and AJ Styles have great chemistry in the ring. I expect a very good match over there in Saudi Arabia. I thought it was a decent way to write Daniel Bryan out. Again, the way they wrote these guys out was kind of half-assed, but I thought this was the best way out of the two. We end up having the New Day beating the Bar in a Halloween-themed match. I was kind of like, okay, whatever.
You knew it was going to happen. Silly, but it's an entertaining show. You have to have, you have to have a little bit of flair, and so that's what they did.
The best part of the match was Cesaro getting smashed through a pumpkin.
Yeah.
That's what it was. We get an R-Truth versus Nakamura match. This is what every R-Truth match is, complete with a dance break. Okay, cool, whatever.
But now something I do want to bring up, because it highlighted when I saw that match. You look at Nakamura and you go, this was a coveted dude.
Yes.
This is a guy that when WWE brought him to NXT, everybody paid attention. The wrestling world stopped like, whoa, WWE just stepped it up a notch by going out and getting this super talented international star, and this guy can do some things. This guy has a character. And at NXT, he ran roughshod. He was able to evolve that character. Now, fast forward to his debut in WWE, he has failed to deliver quality matches in the better part now of 2 years. What is Shinsuke Nakamura in WWE? You gave him a belt, you gave him the United States title, and I feel like no character has devalued a title more than Shinsuke Nakamura. You got a match versus R-Truth, and there's nothing spectacular, no real buzz, and you look at Shinsuke Nakamura and you ask yourself, what is this guy? What does he bring to the table? Why are they writing Shinsuke Nakamura versus R-Truth? when at the very least he's got to be at the top of the card. Maybe he's a prime candidate to move over to Monday Night Raw and bring over some star power on that front. But I just feel like no guy's stock has dropped more, and his Doc and Jock stock watch is way down than Shinsuke Nakamura. This guy could be utilized way better. And, okay, let's say you're not happy with the storyline. Let's say you're not happy with, the matches that he's given and what the direction is. His matches aren't that good.
No.
It's like the same thing, and it's not WWE style, and something has to be adjusted. Like, someone has talked to him and say, hey, you got to kind of wrestle a little bit faster and a little bit more, add some different movesets to your arsenal.
This is the thing. When he was in New Japan, he was a top guy.
Top guy, yeah.
He was one of the top 4, top 5 guys in the promotion. Something has happened between him going from New Japan to NXT to the main roster. It's not translating. His matches are boring. A lot of times when I watch his matches, I don't mind fast forwarding if I have to.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing something else. It's one of those things where I don't want to say it's the pee break match, but it really feels like it's the pee break match. It's the one where you're like, all right, cool, I got to go take a dump. I'm going to go shit for 20 minutes, and I'll come back, and this match will be over. I'll catch the ending, and we'll be good to go. That's kind of what this is. Something that is not a pee break match, something that you don't want to miss. Solid promo by Becky Lynch. I have in my notes, I have Daddy like.
Yes.
Did Doc like? I
Yes.
mean, I loved her coming out and cutting a promo on Ronda Rousey without Ronda Rousey being there, just setting up the build to Survivor Series. I thought this was awesome.
Yes.
She had a phenomenal match against Charlotte at Evolution. It was the best
Hellacious.
match. Yeah, it was the best match on the card. She performed. It was great. My big concern, and you maybe have talked me off the ledge. I was talking to you about this before we sat down to do the show. I don't want her to be fodder for Charlotte or for Ronda Rousey. I don't want her to go in there and just get fed to the wolves. I feel like at this point, Becky has done such a phenomenal job. And the crowd reaction. The crowd is so invested in her character right now. They don't care that she's a heel. They don't care if she's a face. They care that she's Becky Lynch. I don't need Becky Lynch to go into a ring and get muscled around and get busted up and get beat up and lose to Ronda Rousey, because Ronda Rousey is still the shiny new toy.
And here's a perfect example of where you have a match that pretty much writes itself. They both have their stuff in. They both get over. The crowd's going apeshit. And you have it where Nikki Bella comes in and interferes and costs Ronda Rousey the match. Or another woman that kind of wants to step up. Maybe you have a turn with Natalya. You have somebody that costs Ronda Rousey the match, because you don't want a match where anybody loses. So you look at it and you go, well, in other key matches in the Royal Rumble, I believe it was AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar. In other high marquee, in other big pay-per-views, you've had AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar, and AJ Styles lost clean, and his star continues to shine. So it is possible that Becky Lynch could outright win the match, and no luster will be lost off of Ronda Rousey as long as it's a hellacious matchup. Look, Charlotte lost, and her star is bright as well. So you can have a clean winner, but if you do put someone over, it better be Becky Lynch.
Could you see in this match a way for both of them to end up walking away without really losing any rub? Would you have Becky Lynch end up introducing a weapon, a chair, or using a table, and somehow beating the living crap out of Ronda Rousey? Ronda Rousey ends up walking away, right? Shows that she's a badass and a tough guy, and Becky Lynch is still able to kind of carry on with this loose cannon, this Dean Ambrose lunatic type Becky Lynch character that we've got.
All right, here we go. The Doc puts the pencil in his ear, and I've written this out.
Okay.
All right, what's one of the iconic matches that put Austin... What's one of the iconic matches that people remember from Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Oh, the double turn.
The match, I believe it was SummerSlam, was when Bret Hart put Stone Cold in the sharpshooter, and all of a sudden his face runs down.
Bleeding.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
a double turn.
Okay,
it was a double turn. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was a heel.
Yes.
He becomes a face. Bret Hart was a face, becomes a heel
because he passed out and everybody respected him.
Yes.
So here's what you do if you really want to take it to the next level. You have them go back and forth, back and forth. Becky Lynch applies a submission hold, and you somehow figure out a way to get Ronda Rousey to face paint herself and bleed all over the place, and she just passes out. Doesn't tap out. She just fights and fights and fights, and then she's just holding on, and she just passes out. And then you could maybe have a situation in which respect is gained. She actually cuts and bleeds and red all over the place. I think that would be the
Crimson Mask.
Crimson Mask on Ronda Rousey. Becky Lynch is amazing. And
what if you had
story.
Becky actually? What if you had Becky Blade? Becky cuts herself. She gets put in the submission.
Becky passes out?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. I think Ronda
So now you do the double turn. You basically do the same exact thing, right? You have the double turn. Becky's now the heel, or Ronda's now the heel, and Becky blades and bleeds and passes out
and she becomes the full face.
She becomes full face because she's already a face.
Either way,
she's
it would
just
be great.
Masquerading as a heel.
I think you and I just both want to see some crimson on one of these ladies.
One of these broads got to bleed.
Yeah, we haven't seen that too often, right?
No.
Never seen crimson on a lady.
You really don't ever see it ever. I do either way. I think
crimson.
One of those ways is great.
Yes,
I love it.
Double turn.
All right, so our main event, it's Randy Orton and The Miz versus Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio. I was really not interested in this at all.
Yeah.
In the end, it turned out to be pretty cool because Hardy and Rey win after hitting. Rey hits a 619, and then you get a whisper in the wind on The Miz. Post-match, Randy Orton's laying everybody out with RKOs. The way the match ended up shaking out, it was cool. I was all right with it. I didn't want to see it. In the end, I was okay with it. Overall, I thought SmackDown was a much better show.
By far. So, yeah, definitely, Adam. This one gets a full point to SmackDown.
Yes.
We saw your video. It was really awesome. Thank you for messaging. We greatly appreciate your support. Adam, definitely one of the supporters of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast.
Huge wrestling fan. Send us a video. It was spot
Great.
on, dude.
Spot
on. He was. I think he was right. I thought him taking you to the mat and calling you out on your point, on wanting to give a half point to Raw. I thought he was in the right. Again, he agreed with me. Thought he was smart man there. Adams unite. A squared all day. For my match of the week, can I give you my match of the week?
Jock's match of the week is?
And I don't think it's even close. It is Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. It was a 20-minute clinic. The Styles clash from out of nowhere into the calf crusher. I was watching it and I was speechless.
Wow.
It was great. I thought it was awesome.
Honorary mention to, obviously, Charlotte and Becky Lynch at Evolution. A great match.
A phenomenal match.
Honorary mention. Definitely, if you got 20 minutes and you get a little break from work, definitely peek into those two matches. But if you only got a couple minutes and you can only watch one match, definitely AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, SmackDown. Free TV, baby.
Yes, absolutely. News and notes. You want some news and notes?
Hit me with the news and notes, sir.
I don't have a ton here. There is rumor and there is talks of an Eva Marie coming back to WWE. So Miss All read everything. She wasn't very good in the ring. I don't know what she'll do, but there is talks of her coming back. She was fun to look at. Mm-hmm. I thought she was gorgeous. She's a beautiful girl. Bobby Lashley reported that he's dealing with a bit of a separated shoulder, so don't see him doing too many things overhead where he's gorilla press slamming any guys. It was supposed to be him trying to work his way off TV. Somehow they're replacing John Cena with Bobby Lashley. Maybe at this event, maybe this is where Bobby Lashley gets written off. I'm not really sure. It's kind of what I have for news and notes. It's been really slow. I think a lot of attention and a lot of focus has been what is going on with WWE. How are they going to handle Crown Jewel? Are they going to go? Are they going to stay? That's kind of where things have been, especially news and notes wise.
I'll ask you this.
Yes.
Will there be something that's super talked about from Crown Jewel, whether it be the return of Hulk Hogan, someone turning heel or face?
That is going on, by the way.
Yes.
Glad you brought that up.
Hulk Hogan, Crown Jewel, something that starts. Crown Jewel, if you want to watch it Friday on the network, it will be replayed all weekend long, so don't worry if you can't watch it if you're a working person. But I do think there's going to be some moments where people go, wow, because the other events have done some great things as well. So it's an event that you can peek into, and so I like it. It's just, I think they should do more in the States. And it would have been really cool had they canceled it and maybe brought it to Detroit, Ford Field, LCA, something like that, and things like that. But unfortunately, it's not the case. It's a big money situation, and WWE has to attend to the shareholders. That's what happens when you're a publicly traded company. But maybe the marquee thing you do is you finally take the belt off of AJ Styles, because we all think that, hey, he's going to walk out of there with it.
If somebody deserves to win it, Samoa Joe deserves to win it.
But see, it's difficult when you look at it and you go, does he deserve to win it overseas? You want the reaction from the home
fans.
crowds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there's going to be a lot of people there. It's going to be seen worldwide, and they're trying not to make it where anything on the network doesn't really count.
Have you noticed this? WWE has made mention to how long AJ Styles has had the belt the last couple weeks. It's not just been one of those things where they talked about it briefly this week. No. The last 2 or 3 weeks, they have mentioned it, they have highlighted it, they have pointed to it.
I love the fact that he could go a calendar year with the title. He deserved it, man.
I think what you're going to see here is AJ Styles is going to get a very long run with it, and it's going to be one of those record-breaking runs with it. I think at this point, who is it? It's Brock Lesnar is the longest title holder. surpassing CM Punk. Don't be surprised if AJ Styles surpasses Brock Lesnar
if he holds it for
with the title.
If he holds it for 2.5 years, is it a good thing, bad thing? Do you think someone is desperately in need of being made by the title? Because look, AJ Styles is an international superstar. He's Hall of Famer. He's there. He's on the John Cena level. He's on the mantle. So he doesn't need a belt.
I don't think he needs the belt.
Yeah.
I think,
is there somebody that needs a belt
Samoa
on SmackDown?
Joe, at this point, Samoa Joe
needs it.
Kind of feels like he needs it. Like, I think Samoa Joe's great in the ring.
But he's not worthy of it yet, though. I just think
you don't think so?
No, I don't think he's got.
Why?
One last thing.
What does he have to do?
It's like he's a good wrestler, a good on the promo, but I don't think he puts asses in seats. I don't think you go, I want to go see Samoa Joe tonight.
Is it his physical presentation? Is that what's slowing you down? Because I could see that be a sticking point for Vince. Vince likes guys where they've got abs on abs, where they're bigger than life, where they can cut a promo. He likes John Cena. He wants all of his guys to look like John Cena.
Put Eva Marie with Samoa Joe, give him the title.
You think?
Give him a valet that's a female, a talking piece, somebody that can add to his.
Cut a promo though.
Hey, somebody.
He doesn't need anybody to cut a promo for him.
No, but somebody that just can be like, look, this is the baddest man on the planet. I only want to work with the baddest people in the world. This is my guy, and then to do some things in terms of, hey, I'm giving this guy opportunities. I'm going to make this guy a star.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Kind of like Maurice is for the Miz.
If you could do something like that, maybe.
Or shouldn't have to talk at all. She can just look hot and bring him down to the ring.
Yeah.
See, he needs a little bit more. Like I said, he
needs something else.
I don't think some guy in Iowa is going to be like, yeah, I want to go see Samoa Joe. I just think that people want to see AJ Styles.
I don't know. I love Crazy Joe.
Samoa Joe probably needs the U.S. title. He needs a title run or Intercontinental title. I feel like
the IC or the U.S. title are beneath him.
Really?
Yeah.
He's ready for world title status?
I feel like he is. And I agree with you. I feel like there might be something maybe missing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's Eva Marie or if it's a valet or if it's I don't know. I think maybe at this point it just might be the belt is missing. Him having the belt might just be what's missing because he does great matches. Do we both agree he does phenomenal matches?
He's great.
He is
superstar.
Great with the psychology. He is great on the microphone. He has a physical and he has a mental presence. Whenever he is in the ring, like your eyes are locked on him. You're like, what is this crazy bastard going to do?
Yeah, if not a valet, he needs a faction. Two dudes that he can hold under his wing and do his dirty work for him too. He needs to be a leader of a faction.
You want him to go all Miz is what you want.
Yeah, I think that he's the guy that
that's what Miz did. Miz was the guy who gave you the B team.
Yeah, so exactly. And you look at it and you go, maybe Samoa Joe's got to find those two guys. Maybe it could be Bobby Lashley and maybe returning somebody from maybe somebody from NXT that's on the roster or somebody that they can bring in and kind of have people that are in the know mark out.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I don't necessarily agree, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
Samoa Joe, Bobby Lashley, Bobby Roode. Now you got a faction. Now you got people will mark out. You got a faction that can run roughshod. You got guys that can go backstage and have a good time. I think that would be an interesting faction.
That would be an interesting faction.
Bobby Roode, Lashley,
all those guys were
Samoa
TNA
Joe.
Talents too.
TNA talents,
all of them.
So look at that. Like I said, I put the pencil in my ear twice and wrote something really good this week, huh?
I hope WWE Creative's listening.
There you go. For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc. Please support those who support us. Definitely check out Dennis Farrell on Twitter at Dennis77Farrell. He's got the Wrestling Perspective podcast. Very highly rated podcast, always in the top 50 on iTunes, WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. Check out the Breaking Down the Ring podcast at BDRcast. They broadcast live a great wrestling podcast each and every Wednesday, 9:15 on the Podcast Detroit platform. Definitely Mikey and the crew over there, the most inappropriate wrestling podcast. Breaking Down the Ring, great supporters of ours. Thanks, everybody. See everybody next week. Can't wait to review Crown Jewel, see what happens, Raw, SmackDown. And if anything that you've enjoyed or not enjoyed, if you're watching along, if you have the ability to be off and watch Crown Jewel, feel free to shoot us a message at Detroit Podcast or a voicemail, 248-579-8686. See everybody. No, I feel like this adds another layer of... No, I feel like this added another layer.
Layer.
There
you go.
Some words, huh?
Dude, it's so weird, right?